I'm a social innovator, yes, an entrepreneur. I've worked on social and economic development programs across 24 countries. But first and foremost, I'm a mum, and everything you're about to hear from me comes from a mother's love. In 2010, my then 10-year-old son, Darcy, experienced a rapid decline into critical illness. He was otherwise healthy until then. The hospital became his home and his school. He kept telling us that what was most important to him was to be able to see his friends and to know what was happening at school. We are hardwired to connect because our survival depends upon it. There are more than 60,000 kids across Australia who miss school often or for long periods. So Darcy survived. When he did get better at the end of 2011 and we returned to Canberra, myself and 2 other mums formed MissingSchool, and we asked questions like how many students are affected by this, what works to keep them connected, and whose job is it? And no one could answer that question for us. So with the help of St.George Foundation back then, we received a grant to commission and co-write an Australian first research report. And what I can tell you is that it didn't paint a very great picture of what's already happening. And the curious thing was that after we released our report, we kept getting asked by government, what's the solution? But every good innovator knows that every challenge presents a commensurate opportunity. And so we thought, we will find the solution and we will bring it to you, and we won't just iterate, we will find the best thing that we can. Because what we know is that there's no other way to solve absence except with presence. And I selected 6 countries that I thought were doing this better. I went to Finland, to Sweden, the Netherlands, Belgium, the UK and Canada. And what I learned is that all these countries were doing great things, but not one single country was doing the best. Another great opportunity. So let me tell you about the telepresence robots. The kids can dial in from wherever they are, hospital or home, be seen and heard by their classmates and their teacher, and see and hear their classmates and teacher. They can learn in real time with their classmates, and best of all, they can move the robot from their laptop where they are. And that means they could go to the library with their friends or their classmates, or even to lunch. It's an Australian first, but we believe it's also a world first for this type of technology in this context, using government education systems across a whole country. On my Churchill Fellowship, I had the honour of pitching to the St.George Foundation Board of Governors for a national telepresence robot pilot to keep sick kids connected to their schools. So we're rolling out this telepresence robot nationally. We've started with hospital schools who have introduced us to IT departments in education systems, because we know that this has to be systemic. It needs to be in our public schools, and it's far too important to be charity. And what we're seeing is, despite the challenges that we all know occur with working with government, it's longer time frames, these governments around Australia are actually coming on board. And I hope the world is watching, because my next job is to make Australia the best in the world at this type of connection for sick kids. It's not enough to save bodies, we have to save hearts and minds as well. Thank you so much for listening.